Get into it. Trump wants to go to Iran, fight again, even though the midterms are coming up. What else? New batch of Epstein files. That's also coming up. So, let's get into it. Anthony Black. Let's get it.
Donald Trump had locked down the White House the entire day from the press. You looked at Donald Trump's schedule. It was closed to the press all day. We now know what was taking place. Donald Trump was meeting with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. He was meeting with his top military advisors to plan an all-out war in Iran. The United States still has about 660,000 troops stationed in the region or nearby, and Donald Trump was asking for advice and guidance, and he was being given strategies for an all-out invasion of Iran. The question does not seem to be if, it seems to be when. The Wall Street Journal has even reported the following. Trump considers return to all-out war with Iran, but is sticking to diplomacy for now. Trump briefed on all-out war options in Iran, but opts to stick with talks at least for the 60-day period until that ends. He told his aides he's fine with negotiations for now, but he's looking what's going to happen on August 18th. Alex Ward, who was behind this article, writes, Trump is actively weighing a return to all-out war with Iran, discussing the possibility with senior officials like Hegseth and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Kane. He's sticking with diplomacy for now. The conversation focused on what Netanyahu has been demanding: finish the job, meaning total annihilation of Iran. The warmongers are in control.
That's the thing. How does this help you in the midterms? How does this help you get the Nobel Peace Prize? That's what I like to know. How does that help you get the Nobel Peace Prize? Can anybody tell me about that? You wanting to declare war on another nation during the, how does that help? Can anybody tell me about that? Bombing a school full of children. Your own soldiers are being rationed food. You can't feed them properly. I wonder how that helps. Just saying.
Obviously, Netanyahu visited Israel's so-called security zone, an area in southern Lebanon that Israel claims is a security zone, but which actually belongs to Lebanon. And Netanyahu was there in order to engage in more provocative actions and threats to try to blow up the Iran MOU. Netanyahu was then on various broadcast networks in Israel today saying, we entered Iran twice to save ourselves from destruction. There will be a third time if necessary. And we've heard Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, saying, we're going to continue to attack Syria. We're going to continue to attack Lebanon. We're going to continue to attack Gaza. No one's going to stop us. And we're preparing for the third war with Iran this year. Netanyahu also said Israel is the nation state of Jewish people. No Palestinian state will be established here. We will pursue an active security policy. We won't sit back and wait.
Funny he says that about the state when history proves that they're not actually what they claim to be. That's the thing when he says that. I'll let you figure out what I just said.
Donald Trump started a war with Iran, declared victory almost immediately, and now the whole thing is unraveling in real time. The Strait of Hormuz is still a war zone. Gas prices are up over $1 a gallon, and his own aides are reportedly keeping him out of the room during live crises. Play the clip.
Joining me now, we have Seth Jones, Center for Strategic and International Studies President of the Defense and Security Department, and Vera Bergengruen, National Security Reporter of the Wall Street Journal. Welcome to you both. I'll start with that last point I was making to Inzamam with you, Seth. I mean, there's a lot of head-spinning new information on both the Strait of Hormuz, the expected resumed talks with Iran. I mean, on the talks piece, Trump says the delegation's headed to Pakistan. Iran seems to be balking to some degree. Can you even venture a guess what is true, what's not true, what's likely, what's unlikely, and whether the vice president is going or not?
Yeah, well, I think the negotiations do look like they're happening. Everything we're seeing at the Serena Hotel and the advanced team of security that has landed in Pakistan indicates that negotiations are going forward. I mean, the administration has to negotiate now because I think what we've seen is the military option is not able to find a solution right now. It does look like all the indications are that the vice president probably will be going as the lead part of that delegation. But again, we're going to have to wait and see once he lands whether it's going to be him or not.
Okay, another thing. We have Iran saying, Seth, that it closed the strait. President Trump says that the U.S. closed it first. What is your read?
How are you going to close something that you don't own? It's another thing. This guy was threatening that to, give Iran a deadline to open the strait when he doesn't control the strait. Iran controls the strait.
And is this a standoff or is it posturing? And what concrete points can both sides agree on in this next round of talks?
Well, look, I mean, there is posturing on both sides, but I think the reality right now is, when we look at the data, is that that Iran still has about 40% of its arsenal of attack drones and upwards now of about 60% of its missile launchers that it can use to fire anti-ship cruise missiles at boats coming through the Strait of Hormuz, in addition to mines and the fast attack boats that the Iranians have. So the reality, regardless of the rhetoric we're hearing on both sides, is the Iranians front and center continue to have capabilities to strike targets in the Strait of Hormuz, and that is an important card that Iran still has.
Absolutely. All right, so to you now, Vera, because again, back to this whole back and forth, Vance goes, doesn't go, is this morning the president told our own MS Now's Jackie Alamani that Vance would not be going to Pakistan this week. Then you have two senior U.S. officials later telling MS Now Vance is in fact leading the U.S. delegation. And then there's the new report in your paper today, Vera, on the fears that may be behind Trump's public bravado on the war, citing White House officials.
We're going to be in a world of pain with Trump.
Iran just confirmed that the United States has lost the war. Look.
You are on record claiming this war has significantly weakened Iran.
Yeah.
But according to US intelligence, Iran still has 70% of its pre-war missile inventory, 90% of its underground missile storage, and of course, almost 1,000 pounds of highly enriched uranium. The US killed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei and replaced him with, drum roll, Ayatollah Khamenei.
We think.
But they did replace him. You can say where he is. We can discuss that. The Iranians, much to Donald Trump's shock and surprise, weaponized the Strait of Hormuz, attacked US's Gulf allies, threw the global economy into disarray. In what fantasy world is this war close to a success?
Okay. So again, the four conditions, let's start with the ballistic missiles. The measure of the effectiveness of ballistic missiles is not how many you have, how many you possess, it's how many you can fire against an enemy in a militarily significant manner.
They just bombed US bases in Bahrain, in Kuwait,
yes.
Jordan.
Yes, and that had almost no effect really on the United States' ability to project power in the region. And again, going back to my initial predicate, Donald Trump, at least, he sees defeat, regime change, not coming from military action.
So let's talk about that.
Sure.
Here's what I don't get. You seem to believe, you've made statements to suggest, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you actually believe that Trump had humanitarian motives for this illegal and disastrous war. You have claimed that Trump's promise in January to help Iranian protesters who were being killed was the real reason for this war. And you said his aim in this war is, quote, punishing the people who carried out the massacres and ultimately avenging them, you said. To be clear, David DeRoche,
yes,
you think Donald Trump gives a damn about the people of Iran? Really?
Okay, so first off, I'm very impressed that you pay attention to me as a married man. I don't get that very often. But the predicate that you led with is false. what I said is true, that he said he was doing that. But I don't think, and Trump supporters and Trump detractors, I don't think his motivation is necessarily a humanitarian urge. I haven't seen any evidence that that exists in him. It is his ego. He made a public statement that he was going to help the supporters. And having made that, he had to take some sort of action, not necessarily out of humanitarian urge, but rather because
Trump doesn't care about anybody but himself. And this is what he wants to do. Trump secretly prepares 60,000 troops to invade Iran. You think he cares about those troops' families? You think he cares about the citizens of Iran? No, he don't. If you did, you wouldn't be doing this. You'd be wanting peace. If you cared about either side, you'd be wanting peace. That's it. You'd even swallow your pride and put back the Obama nuclear deal that he had with Iran. And if he had followed that, none of us would be in this mess to begin with.
Who has predicted the fall of the United States and the rise of Pax Judaica. He has predicted the Iran war. He says now that he predicts the U.S. is going to be sending 60,000 troops into Iran by the end of the year, at the latest early next spring. Watch this.
On the ground would be a disaster, but I still believe that eventually the United States will be forced to use boots on the ground. In fact, you can argue that there's been a lot of preparation. You still have 60,000 American troops ready to go. They're staged and ready to go. And even though there's an MOU, they're still there. And you could also argue that the MOU is really just buying time, because right now it's really hot in Iran. And so you have to wait for cooler weather before you can launch a ground invasion. And so I think we are in a waiting game right now. But eventually, you will see what's on the ground.
So you think it will definitely happen?
I think the latest will be next March. It could be as early as December.
I don't think he's wrong, because what have we seen with these peace talks? They're not working. For years, the billionaire class told us crypto was for criminals, conspiracy theorists involved. Major banks are offering crypto in their portfolios. Hedge funds are buying it. Trust IRA is excellent. Block Trust IRA lets you hold Bitcoin and other major cryptocurrencies inside of a tax.
Sorry about that. Let's keep going.
Trump is quietly having a meeting about restarting the war with Iran. There's a new report out from the Wall Street Journal. It says Trump has been sitting down with the Defense Secretary, Pete Booty Hegseth, and military brass, weighing whether to abandon negotiations and launch another massive round of military strikes. The exact phrase that they're using behind closed doors is "finish the job." Because to them, a massive regional conflict with an endless body count is just a home renovation project. Right now, the Orange Third administration is claiming that they want a diplomatic deal. They have a temporary ceasefire. They have envoys over there in Qatar trying to work out an agreement before August deadline. The orange orangutan is saying that giving diplomacy a one more time. But at the exact same time, the Pentagon is actively reviewing the options for all-out offense. JD Couchfucker went on Fox News and said the administration is keeping a lot of options open. They're fighting over things like whether Iran can collect tolls on ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz. And if Trump doesn't get exactly what he wants, the backup plan is just to go back to dropping bombs. This is exactly what Trump does. He doesn't have any negotiation skills. I don't know how you guys thought he had any.
This is the guy who said the art of the deal. 4D chess. Iran's going to be building up their nuclear weapons, as they should, and we are in trouble. We better start stocking up on food, water, and supplies, and our communication skills to find out people who have resources, and we could, pull our resources together and possibly help out the needy. Also help out the needy. Okay.
To begin with, all because he put out a book that said "Art of the Deal." Jesus Christ, this is what he does. He always talk about making a deal, but they don't do that. They just keep the threat of fucking catastrophic war sitting on the desk like a fucking prop.
He wants to prove he wants to be a dictator like Russia, like China. That's what he wants. He admires dictators, and he wants to prove he's just like them. Yet he has never went to war. Putin went to war. Probably Xi Jinping, he probably served in the military. Trump is a wannabe dictator. That's the thing. Propaganda. How about the propaganda that Trump promised to release the unredacted version of the Epstein files, and he lied about it? How about that for propaganda? How about that for propaganda? Let's talk about that. Family man, and you're a family man. All right. Trump proved that the Republican Party does not give a damn about kids, just like the Democrat Party doesn't give a damn about kids. All right. Got all this smoke for the Democrats. And when it comes to Republicans, your brains just disappear to a different dimension. You ignore everything about the Republicans, what they do to kids. How about the fact that time after time, story after story, article after article of MAGA white men caught with CP crimes or CP documentation? Or how about the fact that you've have so many of them caught with doing so much heinous stuff, even unaliving their daughters and their wives? How about that? Yeah, that's what I thought so.
Trump tells Iran, if this happens, the Islamic Republic of Iran will no longer exist. What? Yes, Donald Trump wrote in a True Social post, if this happens, the Islamic Republic of Iran will no longer exist. Donald Trump's threatening to blow them into oblivion, on and off. Donald, how many times have you threatened that? Baby, honey, you've threatened that an awful lot, and it doesn't seem to work. So again, where we are right now, the ceasefire continues to be violated by both sides. The escalation continues. Iran had attacked in Bahrain and in Kuwait earlier, and in turn, the United States has attacked back in Iran, again, attacking missile sites. I thought he blew all the missiles up, Donald, but apparently they still have missile sites to blow up. Drone sites, Donald, I thought we blew all the drones up too. Well, apparently not. Line laying capabilities of their Navy. Donald, how many times have you told us we blew their Navy all up? And radar systems. So again, apparently they've still got military left to attack. And also, Donald, have been they attacking and firing drones, missiles, etc. out of Iran if we destroyed it all? Donald, are you telling us another one of your lies, baby? I don't think we destroyed everything to begin with. That's lots of talk. But Donald Trump is threatening them. He's going to blow them basically up. There'll be no Islamic Republic of Iran if the escalation continues. Donald, maybe you should cut back some of the escalation too. That would be a suggested idea. On a more serious note, if this continues, we're going to be back at full-scale war. Iran says the Strait of Hormuz is closed. The Trump administration says it's not. We'll see.
Like I said, he wants the peace prize. This is the same man who wants the peace prize, but he can't do things that generate peace. He could only do things that generate strife and war. That's it. I don't know what else is there to say. All right. Well, we talking about Trump right here. Biden is a scumbag. You know, he helped out Ukraine, a nation of Nazis. But you see that Trump, he doesn't have a problem with Nazis as well. So we're going to be talking about Trump still, though. All right. One scumbag at a time.
U.S. struck Iranian missile and breaking news from Iran. The U.S. struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations and coastal radar sites. It looks like the war is back on, with President Trump saying they did it because Iran violated the ceasefire agreement again, and warning that if they don't learn, the U.S. may be forced to militarily finish the job and the Islamic Republic of Iran will no longer exist. At the same time, Iran is now launching multiple drones and ballistic missiles at U.S. military assets in Kuwait, shortly after hitting Bahrain in response to the U.S. strikes on southern Iran. The recent MOU deal is falling apart fast. Israel still hitting targets in Lebanon and breaking the ceasefire. The war is back on and escalating quickly. But let's go back and put the pieces together.
Yeah, Yeah, both sides are garbage. It's plain. It's plain to see. It's plain to see. I'll just give you a simple example, right? Republicans claim to love children, right? But for some reason, they don't have a problem with a president who lied about releasing the unredacted version of the Epstein files. Okay, and none of them are checking him on that. Republican Party is not. The Republican who are for Trump are not checking him on that. MAGA is not checking him on that. Well, what about the Democrats? What about the Democrats? We know they're trying to normalize pedophilia. We know about that. We know about them. We're talking about the Republicans here. Okay, and you see both sides play that. Well, if you do that, so what? We should still vote. Why are you saying we should vote Democrat? Because Democrat, unfortunately, with the Democrat side, this is where your civil rights are. This is where your unions are. This is where you have your, let's say, someone wants to bully you on a job, you can report them without retaliation. Project 2025 wants to take that away. Okay? They also want to take away your overtime. They want to take away interracial marriage. All right? They want to bring back segregation. They want to, Trump has allowed contractors to build segregated bathrooms. Unfortunately, this is where it's at. The Democrats are the one where your best interest lies. If you're not a rich white man, you're going to have to vote Democrat. As much as it may irritate you, you're going to have to do that because that is where your civil rights lie. That is where protection for women lie. This is where if your wife, has an emergency pregnancy that is life-threatening, she could get an abortion. All right. Couldn't do that with the Republican side. And there was a Republican female by the name of Kat Kamet, and she had an ectopic pregnancy. And did you think that she abided by Trump's policies? No, she got on the phone with Ron DeSantis, couldn't get help from Ron DeSantis. You know what she did? She pulled some strings and she got that abortion. And now she's alive to have children. Okay. This is where it is. And she saw that live in 4K. Live in 4K. Sad to say, she still tried to blame the Democrats for it because she knows the Republican base are that stupid not to think that, you know what, Trump's policies are not really good for women. So you think women should get abortion anytime? Listen, you can't force somebody not to have an abortion. All right? However, there are some complications with the female human body. There are some things where it comes that a woman may have to get that due to having a life-threatening pregnancy, or the fact she was assaulted, or the fact she's a young female, not a woman, but a girl, and she got molested and got pregnant by a relative or some monster. Okay. I'm not for abortion, but in those circumstances, I am perfectly okay with it. I am perfectly okay with it. For let in those cases, damn well let the woman choose. You want to say, oh, the Democrats, no leadership, communist freaks. What are we dealing with now? We're dealing with a Republican right here, leader, okay, who's a rapist, white supremacist, all right, and loves dictators, and will do anything, even break the law, to seem like he's one of them. Don't talk to me about there's no leadership on the Democrat side when you can't see there's no leadership on the Republican side. Republican side don't even give a damn about poor whites in the South. They want to keep them poor and uneducated and stuck on hating other ethnicities who don't look like them. That's what they want to do. And, Frankie right here is poorly educated, and he thinks everything I'm saying is a lie when you could look this up and use your brain. But this is why Trump said it himself. He loves the poorly educated. He's talking about you. Anybody if you vote for somebody and they say, I love the poorly educated, and they're referring to his supporters, you have to really evaluate yourself and catch yourself. Like, wait a minute, he's talking about me. Why does he say that I'm poorly educated? Why does he say that? Why did he make that poem about the snake? Okay, the woman and the snake. Why would he make that? Why would he say something so creepy and eerie? You make it sound like if I vote for you, I should know ahead of time that I'm a snake, that you're a snake. Basically, your brain cells should be clicking at that point. I mean, you guys went to Coachella. He paid for one bus ticket to go there, and not a bus ticket to come back. He left you all guys to wander in the darkness and in the cold. That's to show how much he doesn't respect you. And then you get mad when people say you're in a cult. Okay? Yeah, and he did say, and I believe that article, he said, if I wanted to run in politics, I'd run on the Republican ticket because they're so dumb. And he's right. Okay? He's right. A lot of you want to deflect now. How tall do you stand on your soapbox? All these type of things. Because I'm right. And everybody else, I'm not the first person talking like this. I know you've listened to many people, and all you could do online is just use that little small laughing emoji. Because deep down, it's the truth. That's what people say. The only reason why you people stay with MAGA because you want the Jim Crow era back. That's it. You want the Jim Crow era back. You want people to suffer, and you want to be known as the superior white race when there's nothing superior about you. You want to be praised and worshipped and treated well, all because you're born white. If that doesn't scream entitlement, I don't know what is. And you think slavery is going to be good, when slavery, all it did was push blacks to be better and stronger than you. That's why you had to bomb, Black Wall Street. That's why you had to flood black towns, because you couldn't stand competition. Civil War was happening because you guys didn't want to farm your own damn land. That's why. And you pass that hate from generation to generation to your children to hate black people because you couldn't own, eat, and beat and rape them anymore. JB Common, you're lying, all right? Just stop lying, all right? Just stop lying. Because if you wanted that, you'd act civil decades ago. And you wouldn't be killing white people that were against slavery. That happened too. You guys hanged white people who told you it was wrong to hang black people and to own black people. You treated those who spoke out against slavery with death. Cassius Clay, Reverend Lovejoy, and many others. And you call people who talk about this race traitors. Talk to me about that.
In order. There was this MOU agreement, the Memorandum of Understanding, where Iran was going to keep the Strait of Hormuz open, and there was talk of a Lebanon ceasefire. But Israel went right back to grabbing land and bombing in South Lebanon. Then Iran hit a vessel breaking the rules in the strait. That's what America says. Iran says they didn't break the rules. The U.S. struck Iranian positions.
Trump got to do this war, baby. He don't. Those files coming out. It's about Trump not refusing to sign the House bill.
The housing bill is fine. There's a lot of Democrat points in there that I don't even think are good. But it's fine. But I've made the case. I'd rather not sign anything until we sign the Save America.
That's what he wants. He wants to make it harder for people to vote against the Republican Party. He's trying to find a way to get a third term. That's it. The housing bill would have helped. He's doing everything This is how you know that he's a puppet, and he's not doing things, and someone's controlling him because he's not doing things that would help his base and help his voting and help his popular rating. This would help young people get houses, but you want to promote a bill that's going to make it harder for people to vote because he wants to stay in there for a third term. This is not much. The
housing bill is fine. There's a lot of Democrat points in there that I don't even think are good, but it's fine. But I've made the case I'd rather not sign anything until we sign the Save America Act.
You think through reconciliation or
Save America? Because if you do Save America, you're not going to have cheating.
Practically, how do we get there? What would you like the majority leader to?
Well, I would like them to get it passed. What I'd really like is for them to
filibuster.
Kill the filibuster.
Birth, I never said that, it's just Trump who's just a puppet. I don't know what to tell you. So you just made a fool out of yourself. Hate to break it to you, you made a fool out of yourself, Birth. But anyway, with Trump, they're all in the same club and they protect each other. All right. When Trump was in the first administration, he was talking about Hillary Clinton. He's going to lock her up. He's going to lock up George Soros. What happened when he won the presidency in the first time? He's like, nah, I don't want to, lock up Hillary. Me and Bill, I'm friends with her husband. I don't want to lock up George Soros. He's an old man. Never mind his ties to corruption, ties to Black Lives Matter. This is the president. Okay, just like many others. A lot of MAGA can't see that. Save America Act will only save the Trumps. Okay? Pretty much. A lot of like I said, poorly educated MAGA. And that's why he loves them so much.
All right, folks, check this out. We have some pretty major news regarding Donald Trump's health. This is the topic that the Trump regime likes to stay away from the most. They never answer questions about it. They're not transparent whatsoever. They don't even give us up.
Oh, yeah, I had a question. One person was saying that, we're in the beast system, Okay. I'm sorry, Dad. We're in the beast system now. Here's the thing. I like to say that, this is what Lagoman said. If slavery comes back, who will be enslaved? I think it will be everyone. And once we figure it out, it's too late. The beast system is here now. Wake up. Yeah, I think we've always been under the beast system. America has always been under the beast system. That's what I think. America is not a country founded on God. All right? It's founded on Satan. Majority of the presidents were Freemasons and deists. Deists are, they believe God created the universe and then he separates himself from humanity. Okay? Majority of these presidents were Freemasons. Okay? They did horrible things to people, especially Native Americans and Black people. All right? They were not good people. All right? Most of it, this country is really built on Freemasonry. Okay? You can look at your dollar bill. All right. When they say God, they say we trust in the God of the Bible. How could that be when we have an all-seeing eye and a pyramid on our $1 bill? They control everything when it comes to the music, the news at times, and going to war, and the colleges, many Greek fraternities. Okay, when it comes to that. So we've always been in the beast system. That's what I like to say. And God we trust is not the God of the Bible. Okay? And there's levels to it. It goes really, really deep. America was never a Christian nation, too. Don't ever believe that nonsense either. Christian nation, yet we have segregated churches, and we're lied to about everything from the food we eat to our history books at times, and even the reason to go to war. Remember 9/11? Okay? Weapons of mass destruction, what happened? Turned out to be a lie. Millions of American lives lost for oil.
Folks, check this out. We have some pretty major news regarding Donald Trump's health. This is a topic that the Trump regime likes to stay away from the most. They never answer questions about it. They're not transparent whatsoever. They don't even give us updates on his massive soul and bruising on his hands or his very clear mental decline. They just kind of run away whenever this is brought up, which is exactly why I'm covering this story tonight. And I saw this statement from the White House earlier today, and it just raised a bunch of red flags for me. So I have this to show you, plus many more things in the news regarding Trump's health. But before we get into all of it, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. It won't waste any more time. So this was a statement put out from Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, earlier today. It's on your screen right now, and it reads, and this is the entire thing. There's no more to this. Quote, on Friday morning, Donald Trump will visit Walter Reed Medical Center for a planned meeting and remarks with the troops. So that in of itself, perfectly fine, no problem. But then she continues, quote, while there, Donald Trump will stop by for his routine yearly checkup. He's stopping by for one of those. He will then return to the White House. Donald Trump is considering going to the Middle East shortly thereafter. And that's it. They provided no more context. And the context, I was hoping that they might add on to this statement.
Let me just be clear right now. I don't want Trump to pass away. I don't wish him to pass away. You know, he is up in age. He is eventually going to pass due to his poor eating habits and everything. But for him to pass away, we're going to have to be dealt with J.D. Vance, okay? Mr. Acre Trader, all right? The person that's trading the farms of MAGA supporters who lost their farms. Hear that, MAGA? You lost your farms under this administration. And J.D. Vance was selling it, all right? That's somebody we have to deal with. Just like in the first administration, people were hoping for something bad to happen to Trump, not understanding that if Trump goes, you got Mike Pence to deal with. So it really isn't such a good thing to like wish the demise on the president. That's just a bad thing to do. How many farmers do you know? Just do the research online, MAGA. It's hard to talk to MAGAs. It really is. It's hard to talk to them because it's just like, you're talking to somebody who chooses to be ignorant, chooses to be uninformed, chooses to just go against their own interests instead of finding out knowledge and admitting that they were wrong. But that'll take an act of God on their part.
Was the fact that Donald Trump already had a routine yearly checkup. This year, less than 6 months ago, Donald Trump had what they're calling a routine yearly checkup. If you're having a routine year...
Tammy, farmers have been complaining online and news clips, all right, all over social media, how they've lost their farms, how some have taken their own lives, Tammy. You could look this up, Tammy, okay? A lot of farms have taken their lives. And it's bad. Real bad. Nebraska lost their farms. So, I don't know what to tell you, Tammy. You could look this information up, but you're not going to do it.
Checkup twice a year. It's not yearly. That's bi-yearly. You're having it twice a year. And for some reason, just 2 days before Donald Trump is meant to be having this routine checkup, the White House decides to announce it with no further context. And I want to be clear that we've already gone through this story. This happened back in April, where the Trump administration published this on the website, on the whitehouse.gov website, saying memorandum from the White House physician, April 13th,
2025. And it's a letter from the White House doctor saying, quote, on April 11th, 2025, Donald Trump underwent his annual physical examination at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. I performed and supervised the comprehensive exam, which included diagnostic and laboratory testing, as well as consultations with 14 specialty consultants, all in accordance with U.S. Preventative Services Task Force recommendations. The president has consented to the release of the physical exam findings to the public. And of course, it includes his age, height, weight, all these things. And, you know, the numbers here, people were skeptical about because he's 224, apparently 75 inches tall. And if that's the case, then I'm going to play wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs next week. If that's the truth, we can just say anything at this point, according to the White House. But nonetheless, they put out this statement and they were bragging all day.
I just feel that he's not getting proper care. All he has is yes men, just yes men, just yes men. All his life he's had yes men. That's a scary way to live.
Not looking good for Donald. His health is rapidly collapsing. This should be the top story nationally. It isn't because corporate news is covering it up. Did you see what happened yesterday when Donald Trump was in North Dakota? He was running around with scissors, and then he tried to put these scissors in his suit jacket, and it looked like he was going to stab somebody and stab himself. And then Doug Burgum, the Interior Secretary, had to say, "Don't run with the scissors, Donald. Don't run with the scissors." And then Donald Trump, before that, went to the press. Who wants to win a Pulitzer? You want to take a photo of the Qatari jet? I'll give you a Pulitzer. And then he talked about having a threesome with his children. And then he started talking to an AI hologram of Teddy Roosevelt, as though Teddy Roosevelt was actually there. And he spoke about that in the speech that he spoke to Teddy Roosevelt. Did you see what was going down? Governor Pritzker did, because Governor Pritzker has been given interviews and he said, I firmly believe that Donald Trump suffers from dementia. I'm not being hyperbolic. He said, I'm not a medical expert, but I can share with you my opinion that Trump clearly has dementia. Let's bring out the receipts. Some photos of Donald Trump running around with a scissor, and here you will see a very confused Donald Trump trying and failing to put the pair of gigantic scissors in his suit jacket. Play the clip.
Thank you all. We'll see you down at the amphitheater. Let's go, North Dakota.
Then Doug Burgum, the Interior Secretary, advises Donald Trump, don't run around with scissors. You may hurt somebody. Seriously, this is what is going on. And this is the person who has the nuclear codes. Play this clip.
See you down at the amphitheater after that. But President, let's grab a scissors. They did say no running with these. Will be. Big audience participation. You guys count down from 10. How about that? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Just take a look at what Donald Trump looks like right now.
We're not talking about Biden right now. We're talking about Trump. Okay, Jeb? That's the thing. Trump right now. Biden had his time. He had his dementia moments. Now we're talking about Trump. Happy Straight Pride Month. Awesome. I'm for straight pride. Nothing wrong with that. I don't know, I see both sides of scum, buddy. All right. So you're not really affecting me. You're not going to trigger me with that. So that's the thing. You think anybody that is opposed to Trump and has a critical thinking skills is a Democrat? That's hilarious. I'm a registered Republican. I voted for Obama. I'll never do that. After that, never again. Don't know what to tell you. You know, he was talking about, Isaac Newton, when he was trying to say about Isaac Newton, he said Isaac Neutron, as in Jimmy Neutron. Something's wrong with Trump. And I do believe, he could have dementia. Because he's up in age, he's almost 80. And to be honest, the way I see things, I don't think you should be president when you're that up in age. I don't think so. Democrat, Republican, no. No, he is not. He messed up Isaac Newton with Isaac Neutron, compared Jimmy Neutron and Isaac. He put Jimmy Neutron and Isaac Newton together. Stop it. He is not sharp as a tack, and he's not strong as a bull. All that time eating McDonald's, his insides are shot. You can't be strong as a bull when you're constantly eating fast food. He's not even say bad about. These aren't sports teams, Jeb. These aren't sports teams. These people make laws that govern the common American man and woman and child. So I don't look at them as sports teams. I've criticized the Democrats and I'm criticizing the Republicans now. Like I said, he hit the nail on the head. If he wanted to run for politics, he would run Republican because you guys are so dumb that you would never question his motives. You would never question his intentions. You would never question what he comes out of his mouth. And I just checked right here when he talked about his son's winning a medal, say, oh, we can make it a threesome. And I'm thinking in my head, why would you joke about you and your son being like a threesome? Why would that even come out your mouth? That's like him joking about, saying in 10 years, I'll be dating my daughter. Or the fact of the matter, he said that on Howard Stern and The View, if Ivanka wasn't my daughter, I would date her. What sane man would put sex put sex in the same sentence as his children? What sane father would do that? This man's in the Epstein's files. Jeb, I just went over a conversation about the Epstein, about the Democrats. I just had a conversation and said how both are the same. Jeb, you got to go. Trump might tolerate the poorly educated, but I won't. You got to go, man. You got to go.
Now, look at him over here. I mean, seriously, have you heard him speak lately? He can't put coherent sentences together. Take a look right here, part of this speech that he gave. I mean, seriously, look at what he looks like. Here, play this clip.
In his door, the man threatened to kill him. He said, I'm going to kill Roosevelt. And he declared that I've come over to see what you want to begin with, and how do you want to begin the killing? He said, how do you want to begin? I'm right here in front of you. How do you want to begin the killing? That's a little different kind of a guy.
Then during his speech, did you catch this? He started, let's play you the B-roll right here. He was swaying side to side, sticking out his tongue on stage, and then showing his tongue to people. I mean, do you see what he's doing right there?
Since we're gonna talk about these farmers now.
My name's George Balzine. I'm a fourth-generation family farmer. The bankruptcy rate amongst farmers right now is the highest it's been since the last Trump administration. Coincidence? Maybe, probably not. And the suicide rate amongst farmers is sadly a real problem too. And that is as high as it's been since the last Trump administration. And there's lots of other factors as well. I do know it's one of the leading causes of death among farmers. You know, when a farm goes bankrupt,
You hear that, Tammy? Farmers are taking their own lives under Trump. But I'm going to play this back.
My name's George Paulzine. I'm a fourth generation family farmer. The bankruptcy rate amongst farmers right now is the highest it's been since the last Trump administration. Coincidence? Maybe, probably not. You know, and the suicide rate amongst farmers is sadly a real problem too. And that is as high as it's been since the last Trump administration. And there's lots of other factors as well. I do know it's one of the leading causes of death among farmers. You know, when a farm goes bankrupt, they not only lose their job, they lose their home, their livelihood, and their legacy. Yes. You know, it's not like, well, we'll just go get a different job. They lose their house and everything. I mean, that's all part of the farm.
Damn. This is what happens when you vote Republican. That's it. Sad. It's really sad. And a lot of red states go through a lot of things, man. I mean, the poor reading levels, education, pay rate. You know, Oklahoma, you know, they voted against higher pay. The minimum wage is horrible in the red states. Horrible. They want to keep you poor, uneducated, and racist. That's what they want.
$28 billion for the farmers in the first term. Remember? I just asked Ken whether or not he got it. He said, I did. And we're looking at something more.
American dairy farmers are struggling while costs of daily products are rising. I thought, you know, Trump was the greatest president ever. You guys are struggling as farmers under Trump.
$28 billion for the farmers in the first term. Remember? I just asked Ken whether or not he got it. He said, I did.
That's what the southern towns are ending up. Ghost towns. They can't compete. There's no DEI. They're outdated. And they think DEI was just, oh man, DEI is just for blacks and stuff like that. When DEI was helping out white people, poor white folk. Okay? Take out DEI and affirmative action. And look what happened. Middle class white man can't go to college. All right? Civil rights bill and all that was to help blacks, whites, poor, veterans, mentally ill, handicapped, especially the veterans when you've gone to war for corporations. You find out you ain't going to war for freedom, you're going to war for corporations. Every time you go and try to be racist towards people who don't look like you, you end up paying it in the end. Any of you get that yet, MAGA? Every time you want to be cruel and mean to non-whites, you end up paying for it. There are Trump supporters who have left MAGA, and they realized they were wrong. Unfortunately, you have those who only realize they're wrong because his policies were affecting them instead of everybody else that they don't like. That's the sad truth, because that means they're not really sorry, because if his policies were not affecting them but hurting everyone else that they don't like, then they would still be MAGA. I don't have a problem with arresting illegals that are harming women and children. I don't have a problem with that. But when you say get rid of them all, you're like, get rid of them all, regardless if they are taxpayers okay, regardless if they are hard workers, they're not causing trouble, then I have to look at you like you're one of the poorly educated, because you fail to understand that these illegals are building your houses, building your roads, okay? They're working in butcher shops, they're working your farms, and tending to your cattle. This is when I see Trump was right. I keep calling you guys poorly educated, because you don't make a distinction. You just say, get rid of them all. No matter if they committed a crime or not, get rid of them all. And then some of you, what really behooves me is some of you have married illegals. You've married them, and then your wife gets deported, your husband gets deported, you're on TikTok crying your eyes out. You're on Instagram crying your eyes out. Okay? That's what I don't get about you guys. But you voted for a man that was going to possibly put your marriage and your businesses at stake. This man has business after business that has failed, and you voted for him anyway. I can't get that through the life of me. The man lied to your face. You guys were checking through Obama. Is his birth certificate real? Did he marry a man? Yeah, we got to look through this. But you couldn't do that with Trump. You can see that he was a liar, a con man, a thief. That every business he had failed and was ran to the ground. Couldn't understand, didn't pay his contractors. Some of you are business owners, and you wouldn't be frowned upon to not pay your workers. But you're going to side with somebody who has not paid his workers? You guys claim to be for God and family, but you're for somebody who has molested kids? Who's in the Epstein files? All right? He swears he's for law and order, but he says he doesn't want to hurt his billionaire buddies who's in the Epstein files, who are pedophiles. Law and order, but he tried to order the J6ers to harm his vice president, Mike Pence. There's video of it. They're saying, hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence. And then what people say about MAGA, like, they're poorly educated, or that in every language that MAGA is in, every language translated about MAGA is gullible sucker, idiot, and fool, and confused. You get mad and say, oh, that's not what it says. It does, but you refuse to look it up. You lie to everybody and you lie to yourselves, which is the worst of all. Even this lady right here, Tammy, saying that, oh, they're not taking their own lives. You can't name one farmer. Just go online and find out. There's farmers struggling to find work, to find workers to work their farms because all the illegals ran away. They have to hire high school kids. And some of those high school kids probably will want a better wage.
And we're looking at something also right now. How long have you been doing that? 7 years. So what happened is energy and with the fertilizer.
Virginia farmer outlines the consequences of Trump tariffs. A black farmer. All right? The ones who have been struggling, the ones that have survived, they're not struggling. These black farmers aren't struggling. White farmers are. After all, you guys sued when black farmers tried to get some money and sued for reverse discrimination. That is how evil some of you white farmers are who are from MAGA. That is how evil some of you are. And then you want to talk about, in the same breath, you want to talk about Jesus. You want to talk about God and country. But you can't treat your fellow man the same, your fellow farmer the same, all because you got black skin.
$55 billion due to the president's tariff in just one line item, soybeans. That's it. We lost $55 billion in soybeans. This administration is proposing $12 billion for all of agriculture, for all of the losses. And he wants to make that sound like some big deal. We're never going to recoup the losses that we've lost under this administration. And that's something that, and white farmers know I'm telling the truth.
How is he not a real farmer? How is he not a real farmer? Let me hear you. How is he? This isn't a real farmer. How is he not a real farmer? Yeah, whatever.
They're going to lose far more than black farmers. They're trying to put us out of business, but they're going to hurt white farmers doing so.
What I tell you, always, racist whites will always punch down on blacks, only to hurt themselves in the end. The war on drugs. CIA dumped drugs into the black urban communities. Oh, just say no to drugs. Just say no. Remember, Nancy Reagan saying that? Just say no to drugs. But then when the drugs ended up in the suburbs where the white people are, oh, now we got to come together. It will always bite you in the butt when you try to be racist towards blacks. Always. Because instead of not doing that, you decide to go and harm people. And now your children have to suffer. Because you can't be human beings. Cannot treat other human beings right. Laws had to be made in this country to prevent you guys from harming other people due to the color of their skin. Yet you want to say this is God's country. That this is a Christian nation. You have got to be delusional. Have the nerve to talk about this country as a God-fearing country, when you can't even treat other people with decent honor and respect and dignity just because of the color of their skin. And you voted for Trump. Voted. Only to turn around and you have regret. And a lot of farmers had that regret. And you're still doing evil. Still.
This is going to be the largest land exchange deed by deed in America's history. And you heard it from me first. It cost $55 billion due to the president's tariff in just one line item, soybeans. That's it.
The choice was, unfortunately, to vote Democrat. That was the choice. If you are a business owner, if you are someone that is in a union and you need that union because it protects you and gives you benefits, okay? As much as I do not like Biden, and he is a scumbag just as much as Trump, okay? There were protections there with OSHA, all right? Guess who wanted to roll that back? It was Trump. So you wanting to be racist and stuff, you cut your nose to spite your face. It's not about, you all want to try to make this like it's a religious thing, like, oh, this is God's country. We're fighting, the evil demonic Democrats. When both sides, and you Christians want to try to push that, and your Bible says that the world is not your home. Your Bible says that if this was my kingdom, my servants would fight. I've read that Bible. This is why I know some of you guys are talking out your backside when you try to push that crap on people. And you don't know a damn thing about these founding fathers. Because the reason why they separated church and state, because they were sick of the culture wars that they were dealing with in Europe. That's what it was. And you want to take that Bible and be colonizers and just use that Bible and a Jesus that you don't even believe in to force to have an excuse to be racist and to be racist towards other people. That's what it is. That is what it is. You know what I hate? I hate lies. That's what I hate. Lies. And a lot of you like to gaslight. And I really feel bad for you white racists. I really feel bad for you because from the minute you were born, you were taught to hate black people. From the minute you were born, you were taught to treat women like crap. From the minute you were born, you were taught to look at LGBT, trans, and all these people as low-life human beings. Yet you all probably do the same thing on the low. Chud the Builder is a very perfect example. Screaming the N-bomb and everything, and now we find out he's one getting bent over. Picture of him kissing a black man. And he's getting bulldozed in the prostate by a woman. A black woman. Okay? But really, I do feel sorry for you guys because you guys are raised in Christian nationalism, which is basically the white racist version of Islam. It's just that instead of saying Allah, they say Jesus. And then they have the right to go and harm other people and subjugate women because they can't work on themselves to actually get quality women. So they got to use some tactics like taking the Bible, twisting it out of context, and trying to subjugate women to obey them and be able to oppress black people. Pete Hegseth's pastor is even advocating for slavery to come back. That it's not wrong to own black slaves. Look him up, Pete Hegseth's pastor, and what he says about that. And he's trying to say, well, if I was owned, I would, as long as the person could comply. And I'm looking at him, and once again, I've read that Bible, and it says that you have to be good to the slave master, whether he's good to you or cruel to you. So I already know that Pete Hegseth's pastor is just a liar, and he just wants the right to own black people. Just like many in the South, they want the right to own black people again. Many of you MAGAs will lie about that, but people already know the truth. The only good thing, like I said again, the only good thing about Trump when becoming president is the fact that it opens people's eyes. Okay, about how many people will side with Trump, how many people are so desperate, okay? So how many people are so desperate to have an era where they were looked upon as, untouchable due to the color of their skin, to risk tanking the economy and losing loved ones in the process. You get to know who your enemies are. That's the only good thing. And the fact that other ethnic groups are understanding, why are we oppressing other minorities when we're the minority? We should be targeting white supremacy. We should be calling out white racists. We should be not tolerating any of this supremacy on the job, in our schools, period. That's the only good things about Trump being president, is our eyes are wide open and we are seeing full scale how evil this country is. That's it. That is it. You're the only one thinking of color. When this whole country was based off of racism. Okay? You voted for a man, okay, that was saying make America great again. But you look past his bankruptcy history, his terrible ways of handling business, his lies, his schemes, everything you look past for race. Don't tell me that I'm the only one thinking about race. When you all voted for a man with multiple bankruptcies, multiple accounts of harming women and children, and you look past that to vote for this man because he was going to make America great. And you know what he meant by making America great again, because America has never been great. It has never been great. And when you all are asked, what point in America was America great for the white, black, Jew, women, gay, lesbian? You all can't answer that question because you know the answer is it never was, but it was great for racist white people.
Lost $55 billion due to the president's tariff in just one line item, soybeans.
Oh my God.
That's it.
Who said I hate all white people? All right. Who said I hate all white people? Lago man. The only thing I said I hated was lies. That's it. I never said I hated white people. A lot of you people want to hear what you want to hear. Just as ignorant as Democrats.
We lost $55 billion in soybeans. This administration is proposing $12 billion for all of agriculture, for all of the losses. And he wants to make that sound like some big deal. We're never going to recoup the losses that we've lost under this administration. And that's something that, and white farmers know I'm telling the truth. They're going to lose far more than black farmers. They're trying to put us out of business, but they're going to hurt white farmers doing so. This is going to be the largest land exchange deed by deed in America's history.
Let's check out the Trump Fair. Great American State Fair.
Donald Trump's long-awaited Freedom 250 Great American State Fair went off with a whimper this weekend, with what looked like dozens of people showing up for the event, which was plagued with problems, power outages, a shutdown Ferris wheel, extreme weather, and the cancellation of a performance by one of the only artists who stood by Donald Trump, other than Kash Patel's girlfriend, and that was Vanilla Ice. Needless to say, the less than stellar reviews of the fair and the viral posts about his itty-bitty little crowds have gotten under Donald Trump's skin in a big way.
And Trump, I really think that when the boys Homelander is a reflection of Donald Trump. I really think that's what it is. I really think that's what it is, because anybody with a brain would understand that, you want a crowd, you want people to love you, then you would do things to unite the people. Perfect example, Central Park 5, all right? A lot of people, it was so long ago, why are you on this? It's quite simple. Trump took out an ad to say that these 5 black boys raped this woman and they should be harmed. Now, it turns out with DNA evidence, those 5 black boys, who are now men, were innocent. The best thing Trump could have done was apologize for that. But did he do that? No. He stood by Linda Fairstein, the crooked prosecutor who sent those 5 black boys to prison on the false charge of rape. Now, if Trump was a bigger man, he would have had those boys come on at a press conference and say, listen, I am sorry. I thought you guys were guilty. I went on the information that I knew, and I should have, apologized sooner, especially because Matias Reyes, the real rapist, came out and confessed, took DNA evidence, and it was a match. Okay. You want a group of people to love you, you have to do things for them to love you. But Trump sacrificed that with every bad decision that he made. All right? So he's ticked off that he only got Vanilla Ice to sing. Basically a has-been rapper. You're getting people like Kid Rock. All right. And here's the thing. You want to get people like Kid Rock, but you get pissed off when people call you a pedophile. But you hired a singer that talks about 16-year-old girls. See what I'm saying? You want to be liked, you have to do things that will help you to be liked. One of them, what I just mentioned with the Central Park 5, would have definitely helped him. But we live in the reality of this universe, not an alternative universe where, the presidents actually do good for the country.
Donald Trump posted this response on Truth Social, quote, "Do you think people appreciate what a fantastic job we did in building and operating the Great American State Fair at the National Mall packed with happy people?" Oh my God, I can't believe I'm reading this. And everybody loving it. The president went on, "Ask yourself the simple question." The president of the United States switched to all caps. Quote, "Do you think that Obama or Sleepy Joe Biden could have done it?" The answer is, in Trump's post, no. The answer was like Obama did it last week at the opening of the Obama Center. But I guess in this case, Trump has a point. Obama has never in his life, like if Obama's motorcades draw bigger crowds for OTRs, trips that aren't even announced. But it was all part of a weekend that did little to turn around Donald Trump's political fortunes and dispel the belief among Americans that Trump is obsessed on himself. And
pretty much, he's obsessed with himself. I don't think he's really obsessed with himself. He's obsessed with an image of himself. If he really was obsessed with himself, he would be trying to work out, trying to get his body back in order, but he would have done this years ago.
Town heading to Trump's little state fair thingamajiggy. Of course, they already screwed up. The damn thing was supposed to be at 12th Street. It's not. They send you to 12th Street on the map, and now they're making me walk 3 or 4 blocks to get to the entrance because they've got enough security here to be like it's the airport for the White thing. Well, that took forever. I had to walk like 4 or 5 blocks to get to the stupid entrance. You'll see not exactly big lines here today. Not exactly any lines here today. But let's see what happens next. Okay, I'm finally inside this crazy thing after walking blocks and blocks and blocks. There's the Ferris wheel, although huge line there. Kind of weird, kind of empty. There's his freaking arch. He's got a lot of like neoclassical fake stuff along the sides that we're going to visit. There's the Congress. Behind me is the Washington Monument. Oops. Hello. Sure. Now we're going to go look at this freaking ugly as fuck arch. I mean, honestly, the top stuff looks like the guys from World War II Germany built it. Nasty stuff. Okay, so there we go. Oh my God. I mean, that is the most hideous stuff. It's like from Game of Thrones, the stuff on top. It's total Game of Thrones. This bizarro, look at this crap. How tacky. At the very least, we're bulldozing this stuff off when he leaves. Honestly, the arch overall might just have to be taken down. Really ugly stuff. Now, what I just figured out is these are the various states that are inside these little fake neoclassical things, and then the Congress in the background. So let's take a look. So here we are in North Carolina. They've got a race car. Not terribly impressed with my native DC. There's like a fake cherry blossom and then a wall you can sign. Virginia, it's a sign that says love made of corn, apple, utensils, and peanuts. Then there's a rodeo tent. No rodeo going on yet, although a very pretty dog in the background, but that's about it. Then here's my Illinois tent. Again, a little weird. There's corn. The kids are playing with corn and Legos of spit. There's nothing here. Very weird. All right, so this is the food court. Yeah, it'll show you Ganesh, but.
And now we're going to the Epstein files. You know, the stuff that, some of you would say, hey, was he there? More batches.
Epstein files. We're set to see another batch of unredacted files today, including 8 secret emails, both to and from Epstein, about a reported torture video. Well, President Trump's acting attorney general was told by a federal judge last month that the unredacted files must be released.
Damn. must be released
by today, or submit a reason for cause. Show
reason for cause. Yeah.
Anyone else confused as to why Donald Trump and the MAGA are angry that Donald Trump is being called a P3 file protector? Because that label didn't come from nowhere. It literally came from his own mouth. See, Donald Trump said that he didn't want the e-files released because it would damage his friends, the P3 files. He didn't say that he didn't want them released because the allegations were false or because the evidence was fabricated or because transparency was wrong. He literally said it would hurt people he knows, the P3 files. So let's stop pretending that this is complicated. The e-files are about allegations of abuse and trafficking of minors, am I right? So when he says that he's blocking release to protect his P3 file friends, he's literally saying that he's protecting P3 files from allegations of these horrific crimes. And that's not spin. That is the logical meaning of the sentence that he himself spoke. So you don't get to say that he shielded them because they're his friends and then rage when people say, so you shielded them because you're a P3 file protector? I mean, that's not a smear. That's literally cause.
This is what MAGA doesn't understand. He says these things, right? And you all just ignore it. But you guys say that you love children, that you want to protect children. Protect God and the family, but you're protecting a pedophile.
Effect. Trump wants sympathy for the consequences of his own framing, the words that he said. And here's the truth. If your first instinct in a case involving abused children is loyalty to your P3 file friends instead of transparency, you don't get to control how history describes you. History doesn't care about intent. It cares about priority.
Priority is protecting family. That's what it's about.
All right, folks, so I, like many of you at home, have been going through the new Epstein files over the past couple of days. I am nowhere near done. There are millions of pages to go through. It is a lot, but I just stumbled across perhaps one of the worst documents I've seen in the files so far. It is disgusting. It will make you feel sick in your stomach, and it mentions Donald Trump's family, Mar-a-Lago, and other powerful people. And what's really unfortunate about what we're going to get into right now is that nobody in the media is talking about it. Very few people on social media are talking about it. Maybe it just hasn't been discovered by a lot of people yet, hasn't really gone viral, but it's one of the worst documents I've seen. So we're going to get into the story. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Before I do that,
I just love how people are just,
to follow along and rate the show 5. So many hours going.
So many people, want to talk about, well, the Democrats filled the files. I don't care if it's Democrat or Republican. You're in those files, you got to get locked up. You got to go to prison. That's it. That is it. And a lot of you don't care about kids. You care about party affiliations. And you will stick by this president to the end, to the pits of hell itself. And that is sad. It's really sad. And I understand why some of your wives left you, because you only care about white supremacy. You don't care about family. You don't care about anybody else. And it just shows how sick and deranged you are. Some of you cry that, your families don't want you over for holiday dinner anymore and want to make it like it's their fault, but you wanted to stand with a pedophile president. A president that's going to make a lot of people lose their lives due to the big, beautiful bill, who are going to lose their health insurance, who are going to be thrown off of it. And you cry for sympathy when you cause this. It really is pathetic, but you guys chose this life. You talk about accountability, but when it comes your way, you can't handle it. Anyway, thank you guys for coming by, and like, share, and subscribe, and share the channel. Cheers.